Bienvenidos. Welcome to our little community. I'm Francisca Sanchez.
Oh, and it's so nice to get out of my casket every once in a while. Buenas tardes, yo soy Ramon Hernandez.
I'd like to think that all of us who live in this small community are a reflection of the many people who lived in Long Beach in the first part of the 20th century. Today, you'll hear other stories from families who were more successful.
Oh, yes, and the ones who had stately monuments to mark up their graves. Up here, the burial plots are smaller and less expensive, even though we did just as much to build this city as they did.
Here in our hillside community are people from many countries and many colors. Well, some of us are from Mexico, but not all of us. My closest neighbor here is Otto Gilmore. Otto was an African-American sailor who served in World War I. He's buried here with several members of his family. You know, many of us in life face discrimination, but death is the great equalizer, as they say.
An even bigger difference, other than the plots and markers, is the amount of attention our lives got in the local newspapers. There wasn't a lot. But every time the Van de Waters, Clarks, or the Mulhollands attended any kind of event, the newspapers would cover all about it. Like, for example, when John Mulholland was seen at a local store after becoming a grandparent for the third time, they wrote all about it. Ridiculous.
While we were invisible, the newspapers didn't write about our children's weddings.
And when our grandchildren were born, the publications never included that in the newspapers.
Maybe we got a death notice when we passed on, but only maybe. So today, you get to hear our story too.
I am one of the pioneers up here. In 1908, my wife Maria and I came to Long Beach from Banjamo, Guanajuato, Mexico. And by 1920, we were living in a comfortable house on Lewis. My sons and I had good jobs at the Golden State Woolen Mill.
Some of us up here are siblings. Others, like me and Enaro, are mother and son. Some are related by marriage. Others related by, we are not married anymore. Catellano Gutierrez is related by marriage through Ramon. Catellano has a beautiful marker. I'd say it's just as nice as the markers down the hill.
Ah, see. Catellano Gutierrez. Now, he arrived here in 1891 and worked most of his life as a laborer. His wife, Teresa, is also buried here with us, but not next to him. She also died Teresa Salcido, so you can't tell they were once married. Now, you also can't tell that Teresa and Catellano had a daughter named Cruz, who then married my son, Maximino. And after he died, married my other son, Ray.
We do have our stories up here.
That actually brings up a very good point. You know, most of what's known about us is from government archives. Things like marriage licenses, or census documents, or military records. Unfortunately, that's all we have to revive our memories.
I brought my family to California around 1908. We decided to move north, knowing we would have to work hard and build new lives here.
Oh, your brother-in-law, Reverend Alfonso Sanchez. Now, he's the one who founded La Iglesia Metodista, the Methodist Church. He actually also had a daughter named Raquelita, and pobrecita, she died when she was 4 years old.
I had a big family, 8 of us. There was my daughter Esther and her daughter, my 3 sons and their wives and children. My sons were laborers. Well, they probably worked for the companies owned by the people with the big monuments. They made enough money to support their families and eventually buy their own homes. Then, in 1921, oil was discovered on Signal Hill. Well, it took everyone by surprise. suddenly their land was sitting on top of pools of oil. And they were in a big hurry to start drilling.
Oh, yes. Any house that was in the way was sold cheap just to get it out of the way.
We bought one of those homes and had it moved to our lot on Euclid Avenue to accommodate our growing family.
We didn't schedule for this, actually. That's amazing, Francisca. Unfortunately, I died in 1924, so I didn't see most of the changes that brought in. But, I kept a good eye on my family.
In 1931, I passed on and joined the community here. There's many times when I think about how my family honored me with a lovely grave marker. It says, "Tú descansas aquí. Tu alma estás en el cielo, y su memoria estará en el corazón de su hija."
Your soul is in heaven. You rest here, and your memory will always be in your daughter's heart. Hi, that's beautiful, Francisca. See, when I passed, my family still stayed on Lewis, and my sons, fortunately enough, kept their jobs at the woolen mill. But during the Great Depression, I know that many of our friends and neighbors suffered through quite a lot. Some even lost their jobs.
Then, the Great Depression ended World War II. Suddenly, people poured into Long Beach from all over. Soon after, Mexican restaurants began to open across Long Beach. Well, we knew people who worked in all of them. There was Ashley's, Mexico City.
Oh, and Casa Linares. Casa Linares, everyone. Ramona Linares and her family started selling Mexican food in the late 1930s and didn't stop for nearly 60 years. And my other son, Baltasar, and his family, my God, I have so many sons. Baltasar and his wife saved up enough money to open their own restaurant, the Acapulco Cafe. And soon enough, they applied for citizenship. Now, I wish I could tell you it was so they could vote, or maybe run for city council. But quite frankly, they needed that because it's actually a required step on the way to a liquor license.
We've told you what we can remember. We wish we knew more.
I see. We really hope that we knew more, but most of all, we thank you so much for listening to our stories, and thank you for supporting the Historical Society of Long Beach. Buenas tardes, gente.